My name's Fiona Stubbs. I'm the Careers Manager for the College of Medical, Veterinary and Life Sciences. Thank you for joining us today. This is our last session. 7 out of 7 that we've been having today as part of the Science Careers Fair. Before we get started and I introduce my guests, I just want to go over a few housekeeping points so that you know how to participate in today's event. So the event is a webinar. So microphones will not be turned on. If you want to ask our speakers a question, please do using the Q&A that you can see on the screens at the right of your screens. A great thing about this facility is you can upvote your peers' questions. So if someone before you asks a question and you think it was a great idea, then you can vote for that. And the more votes, the more it goes up the Q&A. Please don't use the chat function like you might do if you're on Zoom for questions. That's just for general links and stuff like that. Q&A goes in questions go in the Q&A. The webinar will be recorded and you'll find a copy of the presentation on the YouTube channel, but I would suggest that you write notes as well so that you don't lose anything with the technology and what have you, because we know how it can't be 100% relied on. So before I go any further, can I introduce you to our guests? There is seemingly some sort of hitches here, but we're very, very lucky to have 5 people who work for Thermo Fisher Scientific, I've told. It's Thermo Fisher Scientific, not just Thermo Fisher. I can see Nicola here on the screen with us. We're also joined by Suzanne, Adam, Linda and Rachel, who are going to run through a presentation slide, and then we'll have opportunities after that for Q&A. So as I said, please write in Q&A. Do not be anonymous. Be big and bold and ask questions. You've got experts in front of you, a great opportunity. So without further ado, can you share your slides, either Nicola or Suzanne?
So I'm trying to share my screen and it's gone now. What a great start.
Don't worry. We will get there.
My screen's just gone now. Here we go. I'm going to share. So good afternoon, everybody. I know that you can hear me and it's a pleasure to be here. And I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Suzanne, who's going to take you through some of the world of Thermo Fisher Scientific. Over to you, Suzanne.
Yeah. For taking time to join our session this afternoon. Hopefully you all aren't too sleepy and will take it to say. So I have been sitting in your shoes almost 10 years ago now. I am a graduate from Glasgow University, studied microbiology, and I joined. Oh, now the screen's disappeared for me. There, I'll make it bigger. So I joined the Fisher arm of the company 8 years ago now. So to give you a bit of a background on Thermo Fisher Scientific as a whole. So Thermo Fisher Scientific is the parent company. We are a global business with over 90,000 employees now. Part of that, we have massive investment within our R&D sector, with almost or over $1 billion now going into to develop that side of the business, with a revenue or profit revenue of over 35 billion. Next slide, please. I think in light of everything that's going on recently over the past 18 months, I think our mission statement has never been truer to home with regards to the COVID pandemic. But our mission is to take, and we take pride in it every day, is to our customers to make the world healthier, cleaner and safer. And the way that we do that is explained in the following slides. So like I alluded to earlier, Thermo Fisher Scientific is the parent company. And within that, we have 6 leading brands, if you like. So we've got Thermo Scientific, Applied Biosystems, and Invitrogen, and that's the manufacturing side of the business. So they cover, within the thermo side, there is actually, with I think almost 30 different divisions within there as well. And we'll explain that as we go along. Applied Biosystems and Invitrogen were previously known as Life Technologies, and before they were acquired by Thermo Fisher, I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago now. Then we have the Fisher Scientific arm, which is very much like the laboratory supermarket. So that's how, similar to the way Asda would be with Walmart, Fisher Scientific is with Thermo Fisher Scientific. We then have Unity Lab Services, which provide service and maintenance contracts. We have a whole ream of service engineers that span the country, but we also offer customer enterprise services, which is things like vendor management. So we can actually manage the stock for them, and also provide people to go in and help on site. Newly acquired, we also now have Patheon, which is our pharma services side of things, and you will have seen them quite often in the news over the past 18 months. One of the VPs from that side of the business was actually spotted coming out of 10 Downing Street with a big Thermo Fisher Scientific box, so you've probably seen that on the news. So maybe move on to the next one. So this just delves into a bit more about the markets and the customers that we deal with. So within healthcare, we've got clinical diagnostics, immunodiagnostics, everything you can think of. Where there is a lab, Thermo Scientific has a presence. So whether it's based on application from next generation sequencing, cell culture, chromatography, there is a part of our business that helps to support that, whether it's manufacturing the product, or it's from a supply and maintenance point of view. So skipping on. So this is just a bit more about how we've been at the forefront. 19, as I said. So as a Fisher Scientific is actually known as our research and safety division. They provide lab consumables, chemicals, products, and equipment and instruments, but they also have a full range of safety portfolio as well. So everything from masks, gloves, coveralls, etc. we help to provide to frontline NHS workers, and also to all the sort of COVID testing hubs and beyond, to the treatments and vaccine centres, as well as the people actually manufacturing and developing the tests and vaccines. We were also at the forefront of the research and development to make the tests, and we were the first test to be developed and released in the US as well. So we have, you'll hear later from one of my life science colleagues who know more about it than I do, but we've got a huge range of diagnostic testing solutions, next generation sequencing, PCR testing, equipment, as well as all the consumables and the technology that goes along with it, which has all been developed in-house. So there is many ways that we've helped to support customers in the fight against this pandemic. So next slide, please. Just breaks it down slightly more, just to give you a sort of snippet of some of the products that we produce and provide to customers. So you can see possibly some familiar devices there that you would labs and see on the shelves in your research. So everything from PCR kits, to mass spec systems, Orbitraps. I don't know if any of you are in the chemistry side of it. I know the Cronin Group have one. Many of the HPLC systems. And we also acquired FEI as well. So we've got some of their microscopes, and we have that technology available now as well. So on to the next one. So I think that then takes us into, I've lost count, I've kept blathering on. Does that take us on to Linda?
Back to Nicola. Good.
Oh, I seen Linda and now she's away. I'll keep going. Our mantra that we operate to within Thermo Fisher Scientific, no matter what division that you're working with, whether it's part of the Fisher team or part of the manufacturing team, enterprise services or pharma services, we all operate under the same 4I values, where we demonstrate integrity both with our internal colleagues, with customers, suppliers, our business partners. We all have an intensity to drive for best results and to make sure that we get the results that our customers need to get to. We also have amazing minds where it still amazes me today, some of the ideas that some come up with. But innovation is really at the forefront of what we do, and hence we were the first to market with the PCR test for COVID. And involvement. Everyone gets involved and everyone's opinions are heard and valued, and it's such a refreshing culture to be a part of. So it really is a key advantage within the company, and to, especially with some large corporations, you just feel like a number, but not at Thermo Fisher. We really are valued, and the company really is keen to develop and grow with you. On to the next one. So, are you good to go, Nicola, or are you stuck? Okay, so the key reasons to join Thermo Fisher Scientific. So it is very true. It sounds really cheesy, but it does matter. So everything will be meaningful. It does, no matter how small, actually plays such a large part in the bigger picture, if you like. So, for example, within the COVID pandemic, a small example, I helped to set up a lab who were doing quality and release testing for the AstraZeneca vaccine. Now, I helped them to source and qualify some incubators, but without those incubators, they would not be able to have released the vaccine in time in order to meet the vaccination program, meet the number of vaccines that were able to be distributed across the UK and actually Europe as well. So like I said, they're very keen to develop. So you have the opportunity to define your path. So as I said, I've been with the company 8 years now, and I've actually had 3 different positions within those 8 years. So your line manager review with you at least twice a year, where you actually define your goals for that year, where you want to go, what path you want to lead, where you want to end up, whether or professional track, they'll help you get there. We actually have our own university, which is probably quite cheesy. There is Thermo Fisher University, where you can go on and do a lot of self-learning as well. There's different business and technical courses that you can do. But we really do live and breathe our mission statement, so you do work with a purpose. Many of our customers are research graduates like yourself, based in academia. We work with PIs to, some of the amazing things out there, like targeted T-cell therapy, cancer diagnostics, some of the biotechs out there, revolutionary techniques, to name it, we've probably come across it. But this is the best. If you've got a passion for a particular area, it's really the best platform to join, and to help collaborate with other like-minded people and to really help make a difference. But through working with colleagues, and just really taking advantage of the environment that we have, really helps to push you to your limits, work outside your comfort zone, and realize, exactly what it says there, you'll be able to realize your best. So moving on. So I'll pass you on to Rachel. As well. Go through some of the questions that are in the Q&A at the moment until we can, if either Rachel or Adam or Linda can join. Oh, there's Adam.
Yeah, so we can skip to my slide if you'd like.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Nicola.
So I've had to take the screen off because it's freezing. So Adam, do you want to share a little bit about your career history without the screen, if that's okay?
Yeah, no problem. So basically, I have come from Glasgow University, so I was there for a master's, studied biotechnology, graduating in 2015. But basically, I shortly after university joined one of our Thermo Fisher sites down in Swindon. So where the business unit that I'm a part of, which is called the Pharma Services Group, is specifically related to the contract manufacturing of drugs. So you might have seen in the news some of the COVID vaccine manufacture. That's something that our business unit is involved in. So not necessarily only the instruments or the diagnostic side, for example. So down there in Swindon, so I'm originally from Belfast, but was down in Swindon as a part of the quotations team. I think we've got the slides up, perfect. Was there for about a year and a half before moving to Italy, so in a place called Ferentino, which is about an hour south of Rome. This was something that was organized, as Suzanne mentioned earlier. There's quite a lot of, I would say, support and encouragement to have people move locations and expand their experience. So I actually, not being a very cultured person, chose this role purely through work and for the job itself, but initially as a placement. And then it's been 4 years now and I've still not left Italy. So having various roles as a technical business manager, a project manager in PDS, which is related to pharmaceutical development of drugs. And then finally, my current role, which is a supervisor of the project management team, but always in roles that aren't necessarily research or scientific based roles, but using the experience I had at university and the understanding I had from a more technical background But then understanding that I'm always going to be a bit more of a facilitator and never going to be a subject matter expert. So that's where these type of roles I found were really interesting for me and gave me another possibility in what I'm doing. So I'll move on to whoever is up next.
Yep, can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yeah,
Yep? Okay, perfect, thank you. Sorry, I'm just getting the screen a bit larger so I can see. So, hi everyone, my name is Linda Salm, and I went to Glasgow University for my undergraduate and also for my master's degree. So I graduated in pharmacology back in 2016, and purely because I didn't really know what I wanted to do, I decided to stay on for a master's, and I did one in stratified medicine and pharmacological innovation, and I graduated in 2017. In terms of my experience, I worked as a global business development manager for the life sciences recruitment services. So they sponsored my master's degree and I stayed on for about a year with them. And then I seen an opportunity for Thermo Fisher Scientific for the graduate role, actually. But then I was offered the permanent position. I need to change this as well. Now I'm a senior accounts manager within Thermo Fisher Scientific, and I work within the biosciences division. So we work quite closely with all the other divisions that were mentioned, and we've had a big part to play in supplying everything that's needed for COVID research, for example, like all the big different instruments, all the consumable side of things. So it's been quite challenging, but really interesting, and I've learned a lot as well. In terms of hobbies and interests, I speak 3 languages and I'm trying to learn another one at the moment. But yeah, I love sports, cooking, reading, art. But I do highly recommend to look within Thermo Fisher Scientific when you are looking for opportunities and to get your career started. It's been really nice for me to join, and it's more like a family. So yeah, that's me.
Hiya, I'm Rachel Gillen and I'm also part of the inside sales team in the UK. So I also went to Glasgow Uni. I studied immunology as my bachelor's. I only have an undergrad and I left with a 2-2. I've read some of the Q&A and I know other people are asking about needing a PhD and stuff like that for a job like this. But honestly, there's like other factors that the company looks at other than just your degree. So you don't have to have a PhD or like an outstanding degree, but try hard and be a personable person. In regards to my experience with Thermo, I actually joined the Inside Sales Graduate Scheme. I was actually the first one to join it as well in December 2018. And that kind of allows me to, as a salesperson, I got to kind of hop around different sort of territories around the UK. So I've worked with biotechs, I've worked with startups, I've worked with academics. I've kind of had a mixed bag of everything. And as you can see, I've kind of hopped around as well in the biotech role. And now I'm more focused on the academic side again. And yeah, again, for me, hobbies, I'm also learning new languages. I'm currently teaching myself Japanese. It's a challenge, but it's really fun. Once you kind of get a grasp on what you're doing in a role like this at Thermo Fisher, it does free up a lot of your time. So you do have enough time to, look into your hobbies and stuff like that. It's quite good for like work-life balance. Nicola, will be passing back to you.
Yeah, it just takes me a while to get back onto the main screen. Hi, everybody. So thank you very much for sharing your stories. And what I would say to the audience is that you've heard different perspectives from different employees in the organization at different levels of the organization. And hopefully one thing which is clear is that no matter what STEM subject you're coming from or what scientific background, you can come and join our organization, whether it's laboratory based, whether it's a functional role, or whether you're interested to take a side step and move your science into a sales corporate role, as three of our colleagues have done on the screen. So I'm now going to put into the chat, and we will start taking questions, but I think what is important is for me to share our registration links. If we haven't already done that today, because I know that we've met many of you through the careers event during the day, I have two links. One for if you are looking for a graduate opportunity. We have lots of direct hire opportunities, but we need you to register for GDPR, but also for me to connect with you following on from this event. And then I can then organize with the teams as to locations and exactly the dates when you graduate as well. The second link will be for internships. So for those of you that are looking to do an internship, maybe you're looking for a summer one, or maybe you're looking for a 6-month or 12-month internship. We have programs that complement that. Or if you're graduating looking for an internship, we're very flexible, and we want to hear from you. We are driven by our customer. So, we are open to looking at different opportunities as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put those links into chat, but by all means, if you can start looking at the questions, that would be great.
Thank you, Nicola. Thank you, Suzanne, Rachel and Adam. Now we are looking at the Q&A. The top one follows on from what you're saying, but it becomes more specific as to the individual subject. So it says, do you have internships and when do the applications open for biotechnology internships? So is that an area that you cover?
So yeah, we have we have two programs actually. The first program is for a quality management experience, where we look at scientific students to come and join us to do their program in quality. And we also have a program that we launched for internship into inside sales. So that's kind of taking your science to a different direction. If you are looking to remain within a laboratory setting or an R&D setting, absolutely, we have opportunities more locally that are site-based, and also across EMEA, like Adam's based in Italy at the moment, and we do a lot in Italy. It's one of our biggest countries for growth as well. So if we've got any Italian-speaking students in the audience, or people that are generally interested and curious to go and work outside of the UK, then happy to facilitate that too.
Can I, this is not a question in the Q&A, but in another session there was saying, not being able to speak a second language other than English, is it a disadvantage for working in regions like you just mentioned? So can Adam speak Italian?
So when I arrived, I spoke zero Italian. So I have never had a skill for languages, I would say, but it was one where the working language is English. So all of as we're a customer service provider, a lot of our working relationships with customers, with the pharma companies, are in English. And it means then that the level of, when you go to these other countries, for me, for example, in Italy, the level of English is very good there. But naturally, over the time, I've learned Italian, but completely passively, I would say, through work. So at the minute now, I work in Italian and would have conversations like that. But initially, when I arrived, it was 100% with zero knowledge of the language.
It does depend on the role that you do as well, I would say. So, for example, if you're in a sales role and you're dealing with local customers in country, they're going to want to speak local language. So I think we just have to be careful around the language, but it's not always a requisite that we have to have a second language. And a lot of European countries do speak English as the main one anyhow.
Yeah, thank you. And a lot of science is similar to yourselves. Yeah. Thank you. So the top question here is joint. But what skills are you looking for in a candidate in recruitment if the candidate has not enough lab experience? And this, again, you may have heard from other institutions, is a common concern for students, having not been in the lab because of COVID. So I suppose there might be two questions there. What skills are you looking for? And also, how kind are you for those that haven't got as much life as you'd liked?
I can start with that, and then I can ask my colleagues maybe to continue it. For me, if you're doing a STEM subject study, you've got the analytical mindset, you're understanding science. So for me, the fact of during the last 2 years about the COVID and not being able to get into the lab is not necessarily the most important thing. It's about your mindset, your passion for science, and the company fit with the culture. For us, we hire a lot of graduates. The most important thing is we don't teach the science, though. So we can teach about our products, our services, but we need that base, which is where you're coming from a scientific subject. So for us, I wouldn't necessarily dwell on that part because we've got lots of functional positions that we hire for. The fact that you're graduating from a scientific subject, that for us is the biggest plus point here, because you've got the science acumen, business acumen, of which, you know, it's hard for us to deliver and train. We can train everything else. We can train how to be a fantastic salesperson or an account manager, but we can't train the science. We would expect you to come to the table with that. Maybe my colleagues can add to that if there's something else you want to share.
I can make a quick comment. So when I was at Glasgow Uni, I discovered very early on that the lab was not for me. But having said that, I also did an internship for a CRO, PPD, which Thermo Fisher has also now acquired. And I realized that wasn't for me either, but I really loved talking to people, and I was just a very chatty person. And having done my master's, there was quite a lot of commercial roles like bio business and bio entrepreneurship, things like that, which I really fell in love with. And I just moved straight to the commercial side into the sales bit, and I've loved it. So it's really important to know what you don't want to do as well, not just what you do want to do, because a lot of the times you will do it and discover maybe it's not for you.
Yeah.
So keep an open mind, I would say, and just try different things. And it's even with like a company like Thermo Fisher Scientific, it's just to move around into different roles, and you've been given, like, you do get quite a lot of support in kind of highlighting what's right for you. So yeah, I would definitely say keep an open mind, because it can help me.
Okay, if it's all right, if we move on to another question. Thank you for your answers there. Joint with that is a PhD required for being a scientist in R&D?
Answer to that question is no. You don't have to have a PhD. We have certain roles where a PhD would be desirable, but a lot of our graduate roles would mean a degree level or a master's level. It's going back to that science base again for graduation roles. As I mentioned, we do have a certain percentage of roles that would want to request a PhD. But I think in the UK, having a degree as a minimum, if you have a master's, that's a bonus. That's fantastic. But I think that would be the main requirements, really.
Okay, thank you. The next question, do you have any lab-based jobs for new graduates? I don't know if that was covered in your links. I'm presuming you do have.
Yeah, these links are just registration links. So it's not
okay.
Link to a website. So, you know, if you are interested in a lab-based internship, you still need to apply, register, should I say. They're not application links. And I can talk one-to-one with you about that and see whereabouts around the UK we've got sites that have those opportunities. And ultimately, it's about timing. So the timing of the students may differ from when we think we're going to have interns. So again, it goes back to that. We're guided by yourselves as students as to the timing on these things.
Okay. I'm just going to go to the person that asked the question about PhD feels that they answered, maybe have written it wrongly. They wanted to know if they had a PhD in your company, would it be a disadvantage because they're thinking of doing one and then leaving academia? So would they be overqualified? Maybe that's what they're suggesting.
I think that's always the debate, isn't it, with the questions. I think in a lot of countries, when I think of Germany, because we feature a lot in Germany and Italy, we have a lot of PhD students that actually convert over to commercial, because by the time they've done their PhD, they've reached that crossroads that actually they want to move from academia, knowing that they can move back to academia in the future, but they actually really got the bug for moving out of the lab into a sales and commercial role. So a little bit like Linda's story, where she really wanted to move into commercial. So I think, no, it's not a disadvantage at all. As long as you're prepared, we don't have different salary structures for different levels of the organization for education. We absolutely acknowledge the education side, but it wouldn't be guided by a salary, for example. If it's the same, it's about the role, it's about the company fit and the technical ability.
Okay, thank you. We're into the last 5 minutes of our talk, so I just want to Adam. We've talked about the fact that you've grown in capabilities in Italy. But how did you find moving abroad for your job? Were there any sort of highlights or challenges?
Yeah, so I would say absolutely, as it was something very much that came through the company as well. It was I did have a lot of support as I made the move. So one thing that definitely helped me to sort of settle in, I would say, is the support that I had and just helping me get set up over there. But absolutely, in terms of, you know, going over in a new culture and you know, not speaking the language, it can be a bit of a shock to the system. But as I said, I went out there starting off as a 6-month internship, but you know, find the people so welcoming, and going into a site of, at the time it was 800 people as a production site, you know, going in and having, I would say, very open people and very relatable, made it much easier to settle in. And then the 6 months became 1 year, became 2, became 3. And I still haven't left yet. So,
Okay. And where in Italy are you?
So it's in between Rome and Napoli. So a little town off the motorway called Ferentino.
Right. Well, it sounds great. I mean, that's quite a big distance, but there's someone from Italy in the audience and never thought be able to find a job in science there, but it looks like Italy is an important place for your company.
Yeah.
How easy is it to get a job there with you? Or maybe you should get in contact with them anonymous. Would have been good to know what your name is. None of this anonymous stuff. Anyway, what else? Someone asked, can we talk a bit about lab-based jobs? I'm not sure what that person wanted to know specifically. Is there any...
In the panel, we don't actually have anybody from a lab environment, do we? Because everyone's coming from commercial. But we do have laboratories and we do hire. They're in certain parts of the UK. So what I would say is, if you do have a keen interest, I'm sure probably at least 30% of the audience may have that interest at the moment, is to register on the link, and then we can take those discussions offline and I can go through and find out the locations where we have those opportunities. Sorry, a bit of sneezes and coughing. Apologies.
No, that's absolutely fine. We're nearly at the end, Nicola. Thank you for being with us today. Last question I feel today is, if I've just finished a master's program but haven't graduated, so expected to March next year for the application of an internship, should I register with my BSc degree as opposed to the master's degree that they're studying on?
Just register, either or. It doesn't matter. It's not an application. It's just coming to me. These links go to our ATS, which is about pipelining, so that we're aware of you. So I can look at your details, your profile, and share them with the business. And in a lot of times, we can have an interesting profile and we can guide it to our business, and they may create an opportunity. They may have something that's coming up. So I would say just register, either or. It's not an issue at this moment in time whether you register against your master's or whether it's your degree, either or.
So can I just say, I'm looking at the chat. Have you put them in the chat, Nicola? Or
yeah, I put them in the general chat. Can somebody confirm that they can see them?
Yeah, I put them in as well.
Because I can't see them. I mean, maybe you could. Oh, they're definitely, Simone, I can hear Simone saying they're definitely there.
Right.
Okay. So I'm hoping the students can see them too, because that's a great opportunity for all of them. Anyway, time's up. We've literally got a minute before 4:45 here. As I said, it's been a real pleasure to talk to you today. I appreciate your time, giving up your time in a busy day and sharing your experience and expertise. It was a great way to finish the Science Careers Fair this year. Please make every opportunity to apply for these internships and jobs at Thermo Fisher, and I'm sure we'll come across these people again. So once again, thank you very much. Have a good day. Have a good evening. Keep dry. It's raining in Glasgow. All the very best. Bye bye.
Thanks, everybody.